SpaceX just did the impossible. They skipped an entire rocket version. V2? Gone. We're jumping straight to V3 years ahead of schedule. But here's the kicker, they put heat tiles on the booster. Something that was never supposed to happen. Ever. This single move just changed everything we know about rocket reusability. The 150-meter monster that wasn't due until 2026. It's rolling out this year. We're talking 200 tons to orbit. Full reusability. Mars missions becoming reality. The space race just got flipped upside down, and everyone else is scrambling to catch up. Let's dive right in. Here's what nobody saw coming. On May 8th, a mysterious object rolled out of SpaceX's factory, Test Tank 17. But this wasn't just another prototype. This was carrying SpaceX's biggest secret. The transport label said it all, Booster V3 aft cart. Weight, 27,000 pounds. Load capacity, 175,000 pounds. Numbers that made engineers around the world stop and stare. But then came a shock. Heat shield tiles. On a booster. Think of it like this. You wouldn't put a heat shield on a race car's engine, right? Because engines don't re-enter the atmosphere. Same logic applied to rocket boosters. Until now. For decades, only the upper stage needed heat protection. It's the part that screams back from orbit at 17,000 miles per hour. The booster? It barely kisses the edge of space before turning around. So why did SpaceX break this fundamental rule? The answer reveals something incredible about what they're really building. Here's what SpaceX discovered through painful trial and error. Every time a super heavy booster landed, something was wrong. Booster 12 came back damaged. The aft section, that's the bottom part near the engine, was getting absolutely cooked. Picture this, 33 Raptor engines, creating a furnace of superheated gas. Temperatures reaching 3,000 degrees. For 3 solid minutes. That's what these boosters faced during every single landing. The damage wasn't just cosmetic. It was killing true reusability. Each booster needed weeks, sometimes months, of repairs before flying again. SpaceX was stuck in a refurbishment nightmare. The dream of rapid reuse? It was slipping away with every landing. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Those tiles on Test Tank 17, they're not the black ceramic ones we've seen before. They're metallic, shiny gray, and significantly thinner than anything SpaceX has ever used. This isn't just an upgrade. This is a complete revolution in thermal protection. Metallic tiles can handle temperatures that would vaporize ceramic. We're talking about materials that can withstand heat that turns steel into liquid and still maintain their structural integrity. But here's the genius part. They're also dramatically lighter. Each tile weighs a fraction of the old design. Less weight means more payload capacity. More payload means more revenue per flight. More revenue means faster development of Mars missions. And notice something else? Each tile has 2 small features, mounting points that solve the tile shedding problem that plagued earlier flights. No more tiles flying off during ascent like leaves in a hurricane. This single innovation just solved 3 major problems simultaneously. But here's where most people miss the bigger picture. This isn't just about protecting the booster. It's about something far more ambitious than anyone realized. SpaceX is building a rocket that can fly daily, not monthly, not weekly, every single day. Think about commercial airlines. A Boeing 737 doesn't get rebuilt after every flight. It gets refueled, inspected, and flies again within hours. That's the standard SpaceX is chasing with Starship V3. Airline-like operations in space. Test Tank 17 reveals features that support this vision. Multiple attachment points for rapid servicing. Mysterious diamond-shaped pins for automated handling. Small tubes designed for lightning-fast refueling. Every single detail screams rapid turnaround. But there's something even more revolutionary hiding beneath the surface. Remember those numbers? 150 meters tall. That's a 50-story building. Standing vertical. Flying to space. Landing intact. Current Starship is already the most powerful rocket ever built. V3? It's going to make the current version look like a model rocket. We're talking about 200 metric tons to orbit. Maybe more. To put that in perspective, that's 4 times what the space shuttle could carry. It's enough cargo to build an entire space station in just 3 flights. But payload capacity isn't the real story here. The real story is what this unprecedented capability enables. And that's where things get truly mind-bending. Here's what SpaceX isn't advertising yet. V3 isn't just about bigger payloads. It's about making Mars missions routine. Think of it like this. You can't drive from New York to Los Angeles without gas stations along the way. Same fundamental problem exists with Mars travel. You need refueling stops. SpaceX's solution? Turn Earth orbit into a cosmic gas station. Multiple V3 tankers launching in rapid succession, each one carrying enough fuel to top off a Mars-bound spacecraft. 3 tanker flights, 4 at most, and you've got enough propellant to reach the red planet with a full cargo hold. But here's the critical part. This only works if launches are cheap, frequent, and reliable. Which brings us back to those revolutionary heat tiles. Based on current construction progress, B-18, the first complete V3 booster, could roll out by July. That's not next year. That's this year. Months ahead of every expert prediction. If SpaceX maintains their current launch pace, we could witness the first V3 flight by December 2025. Flight 13 might be the moment everything changes forever. But there's a problem brewing that most people aren't discussing. While SpaceX leaps from V1 straight to V3, what's everyone else doing? Blue Origin's New Glenn still hasn't reached orbit after years of promises. ULA's Vulcan? 2 flights, maybe 3 by year's end. Europe's Ariane 6 just started flying, already behind schedule. The gap isn't just widening. It's becoming an unbridgeable chasm. China's space program, arguably SpaceX's closest competitor, is still working on reusable rockets that match 10-year-old Falcon 9 capabilities. SpaceX is about to debut something that makes Falcon 9 look like ancient technology. This creates a geopolitical situation that nobody saw coming. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When one company, from one country, controls the most powerful space transportation system ever built, what does that mean for global space access? Every satellite constellation, every space station, every lunar mission, every Mars expedition, they all depend on launch capability. And SpaceX is about to have a monopoly on heavy lift capacity that could last decades. Other nations are starting to realize this. The scramble to catch up is becoming desperate. But the implications go far beyond geopolitics. SpaceX's original Mars timeline had humans landing around 2029 or 2030. Conservative estimates. Careful planning. With V3's capabilities, that timeline just got shredded. The Starship, the version designed for NASA's moon landing, will be built on V3 architecture. First uncrewed lunar landing, late 2026. First humans back on the moon, 2027. If SpaceX can land humans on the moon by 2027 using V3 technology, Mars suddenly doesn't seem impossibly far away. But there's still one massive challenge that could derail everything. All of this, every single ambitious plan, hinges on one critical question. Can SpaceX actually achieve true airline-like reusability? Those metallic heat tiles look incredible in theory. But will they survive multiple flights? Will they need replacement after every mission? Or can they handle dozens of flights like SpaceX claims? Test Tank 17 is about to provide the answer. The prototype will face brutal cryogenic testing, frozen to negative 300 degrees Fahrenheit to simulate fuel loading. Then direct flame exposure, engine-level heat that would melt copper instantly. If those tiles survive both extremes without cracking, without warping, without losing effectiveness, SpaceX just solved one of the hardest problems in aerospace engineering. If they don't, well, that's a completely different story. But even if the tiles work perfectly, there's another challenge lurking. Ground infrastructure. Launch Tower 2 at Starbase can theoretically handle V3 launches. But can it handle the dramatically increased mass? the more powerful engines, the larger vehicle dimensions. SpaceX is essentially rebuilding their entire launch system. The rocket, the engines, the fuel systems, the ground equipment, the catch mechanisms, everything. Simultaneously, it's like constructing a new airport while the old one is still operating at full capacity. One critical failure anywhere in this chain, and the entire V3 timeline collapses like a house of cards. Here's something most space enthusiasts conveniently ignore: paperwork. The FAA still hasn't fully approved regular Starship operations for the current version. Adding a completely new vehicle variant? That's months, possibly years, of additional reviews, environmental assessments, safety evaluations, public comment periods, range safety analysis. SpaceX might have V3 ready to fly by late 2025, but will they have permission to actually launch it? This regulatory bottleneck could be the real limiting factor on SpaceX's impossibly ambitious timeline. And that leads us to the ultimate question that will define the next decade of space exploration. Is SpaceX about to revolutionize human access to space forever, creating a future where Mars colonies and lunar bases become routine? Or are they moving too fast, pushing too hard, risking catastrophic failure that could set back space exploration by decades? The answer lies in those metallic tiles on Test Tank 17, in the construction bays where B-18 is taking shape, in the regulatory offices where permits are approved or denied. But one thing is absolutely certain: the space industry will never be the same after V3 takes flight. The only question remaining is whether we're ready for what comes next. So here we are. SpaceX just compressed a decade of development into a single year. Test Tank 17 isn't just a prototype. It's proof that the impossible is becoming inevitable. Those metallic heat tiles, they're not just solving today's problems. They're unlocking tomorrow's possibilities. Mars isn't a distant dream anymore. It's an engineering challenge with a timeline. But here's what fascinates me most. We're witnessing history unfold in real time. The moment when space travel transforms from science fiction to everyday reality. This V3 leap, it's bigger than just SpaceX. It's about humanity's next chapter. And we're all here, watching it happen. What do you think happens when V3 actually flies? Will it live up to the hype, or will reality bite back? Drop your predictions in the comments. And if you want to stay ahead of the space revolution with Space Corps, hit that subscribe button. Because this is just the beginning. The stars are calling. And for the first time in human history, we might actually be ready to answer. Breaking news. SpaceX is about to attempt something nobody expected. For the first time ever, they're reusing a Starship booster, the massive first stage that powered Flight 7 perfectly. But here's the shocking part. They're deliberately letting it splash into the ocean instead of catching it. Why would SpaceX throw away a $50 million booster? This puzzling decision comes right as they're racing to put Starlink satellites into orbit for the first time with Starship, potentially changing space economics forever. The countdown has begun. Let's dive right in. Let's rewind to Flight 7. When we first met Booster 14, picture this: 33 Raptor engines roaring to life simultaneously. That's more power than 200 jumbo jets taking off at once. The launch was flawless. Every single engine performed perfectly, pushing the massive rocket up to 64 kilometers before the hot staging kicked in. But what made Booster 14 truly special? It did something only one other super heavy booster had accomplished. It survived. Not only survived, but came back in pristine condition. No major damage. No critical failures. Just a massive, perfectly reusable rocket ready for another mission. So why would SpaceX deliberately crash their most successful booster yet? This is where things get interesting. SpaceX has spent years perfecting the catch technique with those massive mechanical arms nicknamed chopsticks. It's like trying to catch a falling skyscraper with two giant hands. One slight miscalculation, Your entire launch facility, oh god, the stakes couldn't be higher. The launch tower isn't just a structure, it's the backbone of SpaceX's entire Starbase operation. Without it, the Starship program effectively grinds to a halt. Let's put this in perspective. Imagine training for the Olympics your entire life, and then risking a career-ending injury the week before the games begin. That's essentially what SpaceX would be doing if they attempted a tower catch with their first-ever reuse booster. Each booster costs between $30 to $50 million to build. To put that in perspective, that's the price